Welcome to the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center, Something to Talk About. We get together a few times a week to talk about interesting activities going on in our community. And today we'll be talking about plans for the Rejuvenation Community Day Center with the Foundation for Homelessness and Poverty Management. I do want to mention that we are meeting on the ancestral homelands of the Puget Sound Coast Salish people, the Suquamish people, who are our uh, neighbors and motivators. They have been living on the waters of the Salish Sea since time immemorial, and we are learning from their stewardship of these lands and waters. Also, I want to thank Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island, which is a sponsor of some of the programs, the Something to Talk About programs at the Senior Center. They offer assisted and independent living and memory care. They're up on Rolling Bay, and you can find out more about their programs and respite care and even day stay programs by calling 206 594 1010. Today with us, Diana Sullivan and Drayton Jackson the uh, from the Foundation for Homelessness and Poverty Management. And I don't know which of you wants to start to kind of describe what it is that the foundation does, and then we'll talk a little bit about the big project you have uh, kicked off and are working towards providing in our community. Diana, maybe?
Sure. Make sure. Can you hear me all? Well,
Yeah.
excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate being here. Um, give you a little information about the our organization. It's called the Foundation for Homeless and Poverty Management. We founded ourselves back in 2020, literally like right before we shut down for COVID. um, we were our whole plan and purpose is to help people who are surviving homeless, and we use that term surviving because that's exactly what people are doing. They're not experiencing it, they're surviving it. Um, and also helping people who are living in poverty with issues as well. Um, and let me I should be sharing my screen. I apologize.
Okay. No, that's good.
So I wanted to start off first by talking about homelessness in general. As you can see in this slide, there's homelessness in the nation is up to at least 2% from the last time that the survey and census were taken. 39% has gone up in Kitsap County since pre-COVID. And at our last point of count, which was back in 2019, it was up 39%. And as you're going around in the streets and everything, you can clearly see that homelessness is up. There is definitely an uptick, and it is a big concern that's going on in Kitsap County. Um, we decided that we wanted to do our part in taking and working with people, but we know that there's many organizations that are out there that are doing the work. Um, so we wanted to figure out what was the gaps that was happening, that we could fill in. And one of the gaps that we noticed is that people didn't. We have a lot of working homeless, and they were unable to get showers and laundry service. So what we did is we went over there and we bought a building, which is what you see on the screen. With the help of our legislators, we didn't do it by ourselves. This was a community thing, and our legislators was very influential in helping purchase this building. And then with this building, we really actually got to work because we were able to get it through to the height of COVID, and we were able to go over there and help people with rental assistance. We're very proud to say that we did over 300 and some $1,000 worth of rental assistance during that year period. And the following year we did what do you remember, Drayton? I think it was like over 100,000. Yeah. Okay. So, and what that was is we wanted to get to work. We wanted to be able to help people, and that's what we did. So, and we were able to do this because of this building. So, doop, doop, doop. So what we have planned for this building, we we had funding and resources that we were able to get, and we were able to like do things. We were able to get like the junk that was removed from downstairs, replace windows. We were able to put up some fence in the winter months, in these past couple of winter months and summer. We were able to have people who were able to come over here and get out of the heat, get out of the cold, um, temporary short period of time, so that that they're not in the freezing cold just 24/7. We got our parking repaired and we did some plumbing. We were and this because we did get funding from we got funding from the county, private funding, also like fun and through fundraising as well. So we were able to continue to help people, which really was our goal. And we worked with our partners to for them to be
You're
able to
mo-
come.
you- So you're looking at providing services that during the day or to help people figure out what steps they might be able to take or what resources might be available to them?
Correct. Yes. That's what we're looking at doing, plus also helping them find those resources, including because different for example, one of the major resources here is KCR, and there's a lot of paperwork that is involved, and we help them through those paperwork so that they don't have to keep going back and forth, back and forth. We're the ones that kind of facilitate that.
Yeah, that's invaluable.
Yeah, because it really gets people like really frustrated when they have to keep going back because, oh, there was something that they didn't check off, or there was something that they weren't able to, provide at the time. Being able to be that facilitator so that we can contact them, contact KCR and say, it's like, well, what's going on? Or just even being able to have the paperwork so that they don't have to keep going back and forth is like really a big help.
And JCR is Kitsap Community Resources, if you hadn't heard before.
Yes. um, so we still have plans for our building. Uh, as we said, we went over there and we did like um, sorry, we had the junk removed, we replaced our windows and stuff. But our biggest plans is to make sure that this building is an open space for people who are experiencing homelessness and poverty to be able to come and get get things done. So in our building, we have a lower level, and this is right what you're seeing here is architectural plans, um, what our architects had designed for us. The upper level is going to be more of social services where people can come over there and get like the help they need without having to go to all these different places. One of the things that we found is that people spend a lot of time traveling to get to different places and spending a lot of time there talking. So, what we want to do is to have resources there so that they can come into a place. Like, for example, we do have DHSH in our building. They come once a month. When we get open, they will be coming once a week where people will be able to come over there and talk to a representative to get recertified with their food stamps or TANF, get ABD, and be able to talk to somebody actually in an office, because if you've ever gone over down to DHSH, it's really kind of very open. Um, it's open. It's not, as private as people would like it. So plus it's a chore to get down there because you're taking a couple of buses just to get down to Auto Center Way. So we partner with DHSH to have someone who is there so it can be locally so people don't have to go all over the place.
And I can also see, a lot of opportunity to maintain your dignity in that kind of situation,
Yeah.
which when you're living on the street or in a car or whatever, I imagine that's like really something that you put up with all the time. I see you've got, looking very closely at this. I see you've got some shower and laundry facilities in those plans there, and as you say, there's just a commons where people can kind of hang and talk to each other and feel comfortable and not feel like they're being pushed on.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, in our lower level, that's what we have. We have like showers. We have like a computer room, a TV room. We have a room where one of the biggest things that we notice is that we don't want to send people going back out on the streets having a meltdown. We want to have a counselor there so that these people can go over there and talk with someplace and be and in a private setting. So they, it's like if they're bursting out in tears and stuff like that, they have some place where they can go and be able to, just talk to somebody. And one of the biggest things is having like the showers, because I remember, this is a personal thing. I went down to KCR and I saw this gentleman just have a complete meltdown because all he really wanted to do was just take a shower, and he was just melting down. And it was sad. So it was one of those things. Is like, obviously this is definitely needed. On the outside, we have like, we want a park-like setting, and keep in mind that this is for the community. It's not just, I mean, our focus, yes, is for people who are living in poverty and homelessness, but this is a community place. We want the community to be able to come out here, and to help to get help with themselves, even just coming to the park. Just we have a Canterbury Manor that's like right over, is about a half a block away, where their residents would be able to come and spend time in the park. So it's not just, like I said, it's our focus, but it takes a community.
Yeah, I
We
think
hear that.
one of the things important, and this is very unique in the building that we have. The vision that when we started this was people have to, like Diana said, go too many places. And the reason why we thought about community is because once you get to know somebody, once you get to treat somebody like a human, to talk to somebody, you get to notice that this person is in this position for a reason. They didn't just step out and say, I'm going to be homeless the rest of my life. And this is what I'm going to do. And what we found in all of our research, I come from 2 decades of homelessness, is that when people have a conversation with me and they get to know my backstory, now we have community, and you're not just treating me as an other. And I think this type of building, we had a very hard time in the beginning getting funding because day centers did not have this square footage. And we had advocated throughout our legislators on why it should be like this. Nobody should be able to have to leave to go somewhere else in order to get services. So the thinking that we came up with, that our board approved, was downstairs we will let people just breathe. You go in, have watch a TV show, take a shower, relax, search on the email. Our libraries have been this place for years. And I think that it's time now that we as a community say, you know what, thank you, libraries, but let services do what they're supposed to do. And the thinking, and this is my dream, that we'll go downstairs one day and we'll watch a Monday night football, and those that are homeless that normally would never be part of society, and understanding that, will be able to step out the next day and connect with those that are saying, did you see the game last night? And that will make that human connection. And what we're hoping is that that switch would turn on to them and say, I want my life back. I want what I had before, whether that was married, whether that was having children or being a son, whatever that was. We are hoping that that would click, and now they can go upstairs and say, hey, Diana, I want to get help. What is the steps so I need to do to get back on track with being a productive person in society? And that's when we have fought back on what a day center is supposed to be in Washington State. So we're taking this model. We have traveled all around, and people have loved what we've said in this type of model, because what we see is this: when somebody has to tell their story over and over again, it is very demoralizing. I've done it, but then it's also draining. So if I'm telling you to tell your story to me, and then I'm sending you back out to go to tell somebody else your story,
Yeah, I know.
that's Yeah, it's too much. So now, if the community as the community day center, if their staff knows everybody and their staff has gotten equated with everybody and knows they don't have to tell their story anymore, we know, and now we know how to get the services. One of the greatest things that I love that Diana and her staff has done was when people come here, they don't have to do the work. We tell them, hey, let's do the intake. Our intakes are our partnerships. Our intakes is not, hey, here, get the application, you fill it out. That's more trauma, right? And if we can have somebody just sit, which I've watched her do, which I watch her staff do, hey, I'm going to give you some questions, you answer. I'll write them down and take off the pressure. And that you get so much more out of that because now you get to know a person. And the reason why we have not done, and let me just say this off the top, we have not done promoting of the building at all. We have not said what we do. That has become word of mouth by the homeless community that says, hey, go up there. DHS, we have become DHS's number one go-to. Is like, hey, if you want to get something done, go over there to them. They'll be able to help you. And that's a blessing when people know that they can come somewhere and feel safe and feel belonging. And that's the goal of what we want to do with the Community Rejuvenation Day Center.
So much of the paperwork, even that we work with here with senior citizens and so forth, is so complicated relative to the, you have to have all this material and put it together. And if you never do that sort of thing,
Yeah.
it's demoralizing, as you said. Yeah, it just kind of takes it out of you, exhausting. And if you have to do that over and over again,
exactly. Exactly. And that's what we found that's the big said. If I gotta, and language barriers, I think there's also a language disability. When the reason why we was able to do over $300,000 in rental assistance because we went to people. There were people that had wheelchair issues that couldn't get out. There were people that have learning issues that they didn't understand what that word meant in the application. So we met people where they were at and was able to get them the services that they need by coming to their level, by saying, hey, I'm good. What do you need me to make this easier for you? And just like you said with seniors, what we found with a lot of our seniors was just the anxiety of looking at an application that's 37 pages and then trying to figure it out. So we wanted to make sure that we can lower the stress level, one, reduce the trauma, but then also make it so that they understand you need this services for your survival and your health. How do we help you get that service? And getting them all the questions and answering it. But what we found too, with another barrier that we found was documentation. That they, you either had to run here. Some people didn't have, I come from the fax era. I don't know how we did it back then, but, but being able to scan your paperwork in and then being able to put it all in one file to be able to send it somewhere. Those are the things that when we talk about the Rejuvenation Day Center, that's what it's about. Making sure that when people come to us, that they leave with hope and that they leave with like, okay, I didn't have to carry the burden all by myself.
That's great. And I guess the dream is to build this in the existing building. You're estimating about $8 million.
This is the building here that we have. And Diana knows the numbers. We've already raised close to what, Diana? About
we've raised over 1.4 million altogether. From all of our different resources. Thank you. So yeah, but our plans, we still, always fundraising. We still, there's still more funding that we need to do in order to get this built. So
yeah,
Sheila, it looks like, yeah, go ahead, Drayton.
Yeah, and so if you look at right there, this picture here, this is what's going to get our upstairs is going to get done this year. We're pushing for this year. So the knock on wood, we're praying that come February that this will be done in February. We're waiting, still in permitting to get that part of it done. But this is what you're going to probably see come February, and as we go into remodeling the upstairs and getting the upstairs where what Diana showed you was just that part of beauty. We don't want it to look like any other social services building. We don't want it to look like, we want them to step into something that they will feel proud of, to know that I'm not coming here to get services, but I'm coming here to take care of my life. I'm coming here to take care of my family and not be, I'm begging for something. So that's the way our architects are amazing. Let me say it. When Diana told her vision, they said, "Is this what it was?" And this is what it is: beauty. It's accepting. It's belonging, and that's what we wanted to do with the building that was doing social services.
Sheila?
I have a question or two. One question: whereabouts is this located?
So this is located off of Highway 303 and Sheridan Road. It's the old
Wheaton Way.
Olympic View.
Oh yeah, the old Olympic View.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. It's like it's like I don't remember seeing it, but you see it every day. But we did paint it, so it kind of sticks out a little bit more now.
I also wanted to mention that I love the breathe easy room. I just love that.
Well, I'll tell you a little story behind that, because
Yeah,
I actually wanted to call it the Scream Room, but I got outvoted. So and it's a running joke that is like, staff will probably be using it as much as anybody else too. So
and then that's what. So to go back to what Diana had said earlier, we really have a hands-off approach. People are going through trauma. I remember when, I was deep into my homelessness. I was probably like a year in, and I was still putting on good clothes, still trying to get accepted, not letting anybody know I was homeless. But my meltdown came when, I got kicked out of a Burger King one day. And it was just, how I felt after getting kicked out was just so, like, I felt so angry, because I just didn't feel like nobody saw me. And I think what we learned from that is, how do we deal with that trauma at that moment? And that's what we want to do. Like the partners that we want for mental health, that's what we want to do. We want to deal with it right then when they're having that breakdown, because I believe during that breakdown period is that space to get somebody to want to give their life back and want to say, I want change. And I think a lot of times we miss those opportunities when those breakdowns happen. Instead of saying, you need to leave because you're endangering everybody else, we need to be embracing that. How do we help? What do you tell us what you need? And to Diana's point, a lot of that time is just going in and screaming. A lot of that time is just yelling and letting it all out. As research says, when you yell, when you scream, you're exhausting out and letting out that negative energy. And then how do we work on rebuilding that? And I think that that's the new way that we want to try to put into effect. So the foundation's goal overall, and we're putting this into the Community Rejuvenation Day Center, is to change the way that homelessness is viewed, one, but then also how we care and how we get homeless people back. It's not just housing. Housing is one part, but what about people that have chronic homelessness? They do not understand what a big apartment is. So we have to take people from where they're at and then grow them back into what they need to be, to say, what do you need to get to that step?
And as you make the transition, you guys will be there all the way.
And
that is
sounds wonderful.
yes.
Yeah, that we don't. Our goal is not to leave them, to always monitor them. Diana's her staff did a great job. We got about 7 people off of homelessness into permanent housing, and what we didn't do was put them in housing and say, "Oh, we did a great job." We checked up on them. We came back 3 months later. What do you need? Come to find, some of them were still going back in their bills. So we realized, all right, you need some financial literacy. How do we help you to understand you got to pay this, you got to pay this, and budget out better? So, people, we have different backgrounds. I was never taught finance by my mother, right? My mother was a single mother that was trying to survive. So she didn't have time to teach me, you need to do banking. So everybody are missing pieces. And that's what we want to be able to do, to put those missing pieces back to them so that they can thrive to be a productive adult.
How do you get the folks from wherever they are to your facility?
Actually, they show up.
So it's accessible, really accessible to downtown or whatever?
Yes, very accessible.
What I say constantly is I look out my window and I see them walk across the bridge
Mhm.
every day. Every day I'm watching them walk across the bridge. And it, like I said, it was a blessing getting this building right where we got it at, because we watch a lot of the homeless walking across the Warren Avenue Bridge and going to probably the Salvation Army or to get a meal. So
Yeah.
what we've worked with, like people like Gather Together, Grow Together for their transportation. They've dropped people off here. We plan and we had to map this out first before we go and introduce it. But we've getting ready to put together a strategic plan for what's called emergency homeless services. And what that means is that we will work very closely with the police department, the sheriff's department, and the fire department on when they have those issues, we can be that buffer. We're planning, and I'll just give you a level of what it is. Just picture having a $1,200,000 vehicle that I'm able to do intake work and get that person that's having that meltdown at the police and do not have to deal with them and spend taxpayers' money, that we can take that on and now work with our hospital to make sure that they get the right care.
Somebody who's not wearing a uniform might be able to make a connection a lot easier.
Exactly. And then not only that, figure out what's really the problem, because a lot of times it's that their feet are swollen. A lot of time it's a cut that now has become a worse in pain. And those questions aren't really being asked by a lot of the first responders that's come, besides our EMS workers. But even our EMS workers, it's hard for them to assess when they're thinking about their safety as well. And that's just reality, right? So how can we come in with that trusted to say, we just want to know what you need help. And oh my goodness, your hand is swollen. Now our relationship with the hospitals, our relationship with clinics, we're making that transition to say, hey, they have a swollen hand, we're going to bring them in and we're going to stay with them. So now the ambulance take them and spend that money that doesn't get repaid by Medicaid or Medicare. And we can take them in and work with them and stay with them throughout that process.
I really appreciate you taking the time to get us up to speed on this. You have a website, and it's homelesspovertymanagement.org, and I'll put it in the link, and it is there as well. And you're looking for donations and also just general support. It sounds like knowing about this is a big thing that we can all do too, to let people recognize that you guys are trying to change the response to people who are right now living on the margins and make them feel as though they're part of our larger neighborhood and community.
And hopefully you can come back and tell us how things are going for you.
Definitely. Or let's work it out that we can have a tour. Bring some of the seniors and we can set it up, have some food, sit down, and be together as a community, and then show you what we have in person.
Cool. Thank you, Drayton. Thank you, Diana. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.